Greetings, my name is Echo Augustine, and I am a schizophrenic. Welcome to Of Darkness and Light. Today I want to talk about my schizophrenic unbecoming and recovery, and how that plays into a concept for a home for schizophrenic recovery, which can have benefits for the future of the world and schizophrenic people everywhere. And it starts with one believer. Now I want to say there are multiple people who have seen my videos on schizophrenia who have reached out to me. Lots. But there are two people in particular who have some skin in the game, right? They have personal experience, and both of them had said this is like a most powerful thing because this is something that is not understood and it's so hard to face, and I've been kind of living with it in secret, right? And there's other people out there who I believe will see the truth or feel the truth and perhaps tell themselves something in kind of an opposition to hold a middle ground with what I'm telling you is something that is factually true, to give themselves some grace from thinking about the true horror of this. But I firsthand experienced a schizophrenic unbecoming, and that's what I like to call it, because my understanding from art therapy ran from the inside out. As someone who sought help with psychiatrists, therapists, psychologists, and another psychiatrist, and it was a gamut of getting opinions from people and deciding on art therapy with people, and always having the term schizophrenic truly occluded, even though that's what we were talking about the whole time. There is a tendency to hide the schizophrenic diagnosis from even the person who has schizophrenia symptoms. There's like a nervousness to it. Like, we don't want to go that far that fast. That nobody really understands it, right? There's a bunch of it's like, we know people get abused. There's substance abuse issues involved sometimes. It usually has people that have high childhood abuse that have been primed for some kind of breakdown in their mind. And if you go back far enough and you go back to before 1900 and after, there are scientific articles in the Western world where they are talking about schizophrenia being a echo of spiritual mystics from the past, and that it's verifiable that people pull things through from these like schizophrenia states that are beyond what they could know, and that it's valuable. And so what I'm going to tell you right now is that when you become schizophrenic, what happens is your subconscious becomes unlocked in your psyche. And so many people have schizophrenia on a certain level, right? A small level, they're on the spectrum. And this is going to be something that is not something that's understood. It's like you either have schizophrenia or you don't. But I want to tell you, I want to ask you, what culture would deny telling someone they're schizophrenic when they're walking around telling everyone that they're feeling people and they think that they're psychic, but they kind of know that they're not, but then they're making up all this stuff and it's this inner projection, and they have it. Who would look these people in the eye and not say you're schizophrenic? What psychologists or psychiatrists would hear people talking about this and not tell them they're schizophrenic, but then diagnose them as like bipolar or something else, and then give them the same medicine that they would give a schizophrenic? It would be a culture of people that are denying that there's a lot more schizophrenics than we know. And it is my belief that if you do plant medicines, you are on that spectrum, especially if you're somebody who comes into that from abuse. But I'm somebody who did Kundalini yoga. In Kundalini yoga, they tell people, do not do this if you're not ready. The practice of Kundalini yoga. And being ready means being spiritually in touch with the base of yourself. If you are a person that holds trauma in your body and you break your kundalini open, like they call it in the mysticism, then you are going to go crazy, right? People are like, don't do kundalini yoga or you'll go crazy, right? And it's like a spooky, oh no, maybe these Indian folks are being weird about this. It seems weird. What is that about? And then Westerners are like, hot, I don't care. I'm brave. I'm going to do this kundalini yoga. And I did a bunch of it, and it was very beneficial to opening up my body and like helping me release and heal things. But I did a practice where I was breathing and holding and then releasing and then grinding and then breathing and holding, and I kept doing it, and it was about squeezing at the base of my spine and pulling, the idea of pulling energy in. It was just this whole practice, and it came intuitively from the use of plant medicines. And so plant medicine abuse, I believe, has something to do with it. I believed I was opened up to being officially what I would diagnose as the schizophrenic spectrum right after I did ayahuasca, right? And then I am walking forward with schizophrenic symptoms that are light, but it's becoming apparent. Like I am so in need of affection, like and that's like one of my life traumas too, but it's like at the same time, I'm telling you, there's something about schizophrenic people where it's like they have tender hearts because they're extra sensitive, right? And people don't know that they're schizophrenic, and they're walking around getting hurt, and they're getting more traumatized, and they're getting more delusional about it. Like, how many people are there out there who you see on like Threads or X or something, and they're talking about their love life, and you're like, wow, this person's in spiritual psychosis because they're being really sad online, obsessing about somebody, or they are obviously in some kind of weird place where they think this stuff is real. Let's be honest. If somebody thinks they're channeling the Galactic Council for real, that's a delusional person. And if they have experiences that they're relating where they're like, yo, dude, I see this alien in my head when I close my eyes and I'm telling you what they tell me, that's a schizophrenic person. And we need to accept that. And it's okay if people don't want to get diagnosed. It's okay if people don't want to medicate. It's okay if people don't want to admit it. But we have to admit culturally that there are a lot of schizophrenic people walking around. And I'm going to tell you right now, as a schizophrenic person, I walk around in Seattle and I see people that are on the street who are locked inside. There's a very specific mode. I'm like, that's a schizophrenic person. That is a traumatized schizophrenic person. And I'm going to go give them some money. And that's the scariest one to other people, and I know it. Because they're like, what are they going to do? Jump out and stab me? And I know exactly what they're going to do. Absolutely nothing. They're going to be scared a little bit, probably, as I'm approaching. And then they're going to be locked inside as I reach out my hand with the $5 bill. And then they're going to take it and they're going to say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's what a schizophrenic person does. They need compassion. They need outreaching hands. They need people to be brave. But we have a culture of don't say the word. And if you do say the word, no. That's scary. I don't want to be involved with that. So there's multiple levels of this. There's either I've been coded from what I've seen in television and movies to think that schizophrenic people are axe murderers. I have no idea what schizophrenia is, but I've seen movies where people lose their mind and it makes me feel really uncomfortable. I'm scared of this, period. Or I have some of these symptoms and I do not want to think about this. And I want to have grace for you, I'm telling you. It's okay. It's okay to have schizophrenic symptoms. It's not the worst deal in the world. You don't have to do what I have done. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I have had a subconscious takeover. And it is something that I am consciously allowing to happen, basically. And so I need you to trust me. My plan for schizophrenic recovery people is art therapy that speaks from their subconscious, which has become unlocked, which basically opens that channel further through brain pathways. And by watching video journals back from them reflecting on their art, and allowing them to see what their face looks like when they say certain things, what their body does, because then you can start reading your body, you can start understanding it, and then you get smarter and smarter. Everyone should do this. This is better than talk therapy with a therapist. Wanna know why? Because I watch these back twice, often. And I get more watching myself back monologue than I ever got from the therapist who would hear me monologue and then be like, yep, here's one cheap idea. It's like, cool, that was my therapy every week. It was like, I would do stuff like this, I would do personal work, and then I would go in and be like, this is what all my art therapy told me, this is what's going on, I'm right on top of what I have right now. And they'd be like, cool, good job. And it's just like, it was a monologue. But when I watch it back and I do it by myself, I get farther than I ever did with a therapist or a psychologist. And that's the truth. I became isolated after I lost my job and my daughter, and none of my family would help me. And I've been alone here for months and months on unemployment, like running down towards the end of the road and being like detransitioned and homeless with nobody to help me. And so I've been forced to be like, okay, I need to find a way to communicate better. I'm still screaming through executive dysfunction. And that's something I want to talk about. Everybody has executive dysfunction. It's spite. Executive dysfunction is spite. And it's brutal. It's brutal in so many people. People who are abused, people who are emotionally abused, people who are just victims of culture. And we all have it on different levels. And so schizophrenic people embody every dysfunction someone has in our modern culture on a higher level. And so addictive tendencies go up. Your executive dysfunction becomes an unbeatable mess of spite responses that feel Tourette's-like. And that's why I get into saying this, is a schizophrenic person who is also really intelligent and is fighting the unbecoming by rewiring their mind into creative rationality, say, like me, which I do not believe always has to be the case. I think some people can dump their creative rationality and enforce their logic with their kind of like schizophrenic rewiring, right? And that's hot. But the truth is that I have always been predisposed to creative thinking, and my rational side has always been a stress zone. And so my stress zone has been traumatized into short circuits, walls, blocks, mental blocks like a motherfucker, because I have been traumatized over again by the illogical truth of like, I know what's going on with me. I've been tortured by the system. I've been tortured by people. No one is helping me. In a just world, community would have stood up for me years ago. In a just world, this wouldn't have even happened to me. I'm being honest and honorable every step of the way, and people won't even talk to me or be my friend anymore, and I don't understand it. My family has abandoned me. My transness comes into it, but at the same time, it's more about schizophrenia now, because people are just petrified. And when I have embodied at this level of intelligence, through channeling my subconscious basically, and like knowing that I have shrunken my ego into something that is basically non-existent, it's just kind of like standing by and watching as these words come through. When I watch these back and I watch my comedy videos, I'm impressed. I'm like, damn, my subconscious is big, dude. And I'm working with it. Especially when I write, I let my subconscious splay, and sometimes it's teasing me. Like it's like a separate thing than me still, but I have not only learned to step back and let it come through, which is what I always did when I'm writing, but kind of do that in a permanent state where I am letting my subconscious flow and it's running me. And I am watching the show here. I'm watching the show. And it's literally like that. Like everything is just coming through. So I'm gonna ground here because this gets a little winding when I explain my schizophrenic unbecoming, but I've done a pretty good job so far. Ooh, I've done a really good job so far. But I wanna be honest. The medical system, what they put you towards is constant talk therapy, none of this knowledge. You need to be on antipsychotics. We don't understand this. You need to be on antipsychotics. Go get back to work. There's no time to rest after your schizophrenic unbecoming or through it. There's no right knowledge. And maybe we'll throw you at shock treatment if you get too wild, right? And I, through the whole process, have been going up and down and up and into delusion and out of it. And I have to tell you, to come out of delusion and scream for help and then be so traumatized and sad and alone and have all of that, like all of the dysfunction of modern society come out in delusions where you're screaming at people about like sex, and you're screaming about romance, and you're screaming at them about this and that. It's like, and you're watching it come through. That is a classical witch, a classical Salem witch trial witch. Those were cisgendered women who were not respected for their intelligence in that culture, right? And so that's what trans women are now. We are not respected for intelligence. Just get over it. It's okay. We're gonna move past it by admitting that that's true on a level where people just kind of innately feel like trans women aren't to be trusted and something's wrong with them and they can't be geniuses because they wouldn't be a trans woman if they're a genius. Wrong. That's factually incorrect. Over again. And what I'm going to tell you is that instead of going with the medicalized route, I found therapists that would, even though none of them were telling me what I actually had, I found people who would support my path of art therapy. And it's not like I wouldn't allow them. I went to a psychiatrist and I was like, hey, if there are lightweight, anti-anxiety meds that you would recommend, I'll try them. Like I would love to have a little pill bottle around because I was still really going through these delusional manic periods in and out of them. And I was like, I would love to have an emergency supply of something, if you think that's wise, to take to kind of chill me out if I feel myself spiraling into a manic period. But I want to work to not be on medicine. And this person talked through all of my history with me and then was like, dude, you have so much trauma. They were crying for me. I had a psychiatrist crying, just being honest. And they were like, honey, I'm not going to prescribe you anything because I hear what you're saying about your writing. You seem super intelligent. And yeah, I feel like even the most low-key anti-anxiety meds are going to mess with what you asked me, which is, how can I get on a better path to healing and retain my creativity? And they said, heal your trauma, seek healing for your trauma. And so if we lived in a more just world, there would have been public-facing peer mediation groups that I could have gone to be like, hey, I'm in a situation where I'm a disabled person who needs to have a reconciliation with somebody for my heartful trauma, so I'm not projecting that into my psyche, and I'm not living with this trigger of rage and mania and delusion that comes from not understanding how something terrible happened to me that was tied directly with my schizophrenic mental unbecoming. And they could have built that bridge, right? But schizophrenic people are isolated, especially when they're not surrounded by family who's real willing to step up and be brave. How many people do you think have a schizophrenic family member who have to bear a really tough weight of looking that in the face and are like, wow, this is one of the toughest things ever to see this person I knew changed, kind of losing their mind, right? It's really sad. It's sad. What happened to me is sad. But if you make it this far, it stops being sad. It starts being kind of freaking cool, dude. And I got it here with the help of one plant medicine more than any. And I'm going to be honest and honor that because I believe it's something to be considered. And I know it's something that's confusing to people. Maybe there needs to be more science about it. I still smoke marijuana. Not as much as I used to, because it's not necessarily helpful. But it does, some strains of it are. It's just like there's certain strains that make my anxiety go up, and it's like, okay, this is actually hurting the process of staying out of delusion. It doesn't anymore, but like when I was going through most of my schizophrenic time, I live in Washington State. It's legal here. I can go buy it at a store. It's hard to stop because it's so tasty, right? And it makes things a little more fun. But until I really got on top of my delusion, it wasn't the healthiest thing to do. I shouldn't have been doing it. I've done microdosing of mushrooms a few times, and it's very helpful for getting brain pathway reformation started. It really is. If you don't use it very often. If you have like microdose pills or something. You can even get chocolates. In Washington State, you can get microdosing mushroom chocolate bars at smoke shops, right? And it's like, so it's legal basically, and you can do this microdosing, and it will help you if you do it right. Probably cry, probably get to some kind of emotion held within, and then you'll start making progress towards forming new brain pathways that are healthier. I used Hoppe. Hoppe is a plant medicine that is based off of tobacco, and it has tree bark in it, and there's other ingredients that come in the different blends, right? And there's all these sites online that source from tribes, and these tribal medicine people are creating a tobacco-based plant medicine, and it's often created by medicine women and shaman, and with prayer, with intent to do very positive things. And my favorite one has rose in it. It has rose petal and not white rose. I got one with white rose once, and it wouldn't work the same. But I'm going to do it here because I want to show you the effects genuinely. You have been hearing me speak authentically from my subconscious, as I always do, which is something kind of hard to understand. But it's not unreal. And this helped me get there. And I wouldn't take it back, because that's the thing, is I was in a schizophrenic unbecoming where I'd opened so much. It's a subconscious takeover at that point. And if you fight it, the fight never ends. And if you start doing what I did and you start listening to your subconscious, you become best friends. And your subconscious works with you. And then you kind of have a friend inside. And mine, and I would assume everyone's is different based off of how their brain is open, what their trauma history is, and all of the knowledge that they have consumed in their life, as well as their genetic history and their familial history and where in the world they've. It's like every single thing about you is going to project into your consciousness. And I'm just the saddest trans woman who has lived a life without affection. And so mine manifested very much into this kind of like presentation of love addiction and like obsessive spiritual psychosis, like I mentioned earlier, right? And I'm telling you, that's fair enough on a surface level, but you can't just do that. That's a symptom, right? And the cause, schizophrenia. Schizophrenia, undiagnosed, misunderstood. And so we're just throwing drugs at the symptoms with schizophrenics. And we're putting people into a pit spiral where they're going down and down and down and down into the street. If they don't have somebody to step up and be brave, even if they have family. One of the people that reached out to me, their brother was in their family, and he killed himself because he had schizophrenia, because nobody understood it and nobody could help him find a way to feel better. And it's scary. As if I had people around as I was having my unbecoming, I would have felt much better, because it would have been easier to let go of the parts of my mind that we're trying to let go of, right? Because those parts of my mind want to see people again. And so Daphne, the mental construct I was, of like id or ego or whatever, has essentially perished. And that's why I honor that change with my name as Echo Augustine, because I'm a different person now. I'm a person of my body's intelligence, and what was there before is a remnant, and it's pretty. But it was a sad way to go. But now that I'm here, it's okay. And this has helped. So I believe in setting intentions. So my intention is going to be to communicate the rest of this video clearly, slowly, and get to the point that it's going to help someone out there to really understand the benefit that this could have for the whole world, and maybe inspire them to either take that charge of helping me get this going themselves, or to think of someone that might do that. So that's my intention with this. And you can make a prayer, but I'm going to tell you right now, I just talked to my subconscious. I think that's the most powerful prayer you can do. And your subconscious is working with nature. And so that's what I believe. I don't make a prayer to the medicine, because it is medicine, but I make a prayer to my subconscious. And I'm telling you, if you pray to your subconscious, you're going to get better answers. I put a little bit of it in here. This is called a caripe. So I scooped a little in, and then I knocked it down to the base here. So there's a little bit of the hape in here. Take a big breath in. I just blew it up my nose. It got up into here. And I'm gonna leave it there. And I'm gonna scoop the other side. And I did it there too. Okay. So, how do I feel? Slow. Grounded. In a metaphorical sense. I feel the same. Nothing's changed in my mind. It's not like I'm getting high. I feel less high. I feel more like a rock, steadier, more myself. And it's cool. Okay, so hape is something that I think should be involved in Daphne's Hometree. Because what I want to suggest with Daphne's Hometree is that it is a schizophrenic recovery home that is in a beautiful spot in nature, that has a giant garden, that has an animal sanctuary, that has all of these opportunities to connect with nature, biking trails, has bikes available. It not only has all this, but it also has rooms that are very personalized and spacious, that are like a little apartment, because people are gonna come and they're gonna stay for a while. And they come when they don't have a place to go after they've been abused schizophrenic, and they don't have family to take care of. And there's someone who's verifiably a non-violent schizophrenic. And so we bring these people and we trust the people who want to follow the path. And there can be pharmaceuticals there as well, because you can do this healing while you're on antipsychotics if you want. I just think it's more capable to witness what's there when you don't. And that if you have a place to rest, it's not a problem. The antipsychotics, in my opinion, are applied to schizophrenics to get them back into the workforce, to get them back out there, and to ease the worry of people that are scared of somebody that has an illuminated mind. Illuminated mind. I have an illuminated mind. And that's a very cool thing to have. And so I have neuroplasticity beyond your average person. And that's cool. And I have a creative complex that is unique and powerful, and that's cool. And that's what I get out of my schizophrenia, because every schizophrenic who comes into the truth of healing with their body can become their own type of superhuman, right? It's just who they really are. Because I believe that these ego constructs that die off are not really who we ever were. It's still sad. I mean, we were them. I was a person named Daphne who feels totally gone now. But think back to when you were 12 years old, right? You're a different person. It's the same thing. It just happens fast and brutally. And if you're alone and you're suffering through it, it's terrifying. And when people are caught in executive dysfunction of schizophrenia, they scream and they lash out, and then they're trapped inside without the ability to communicate. They're those traumatized people that need somebody to sit close and wait for them to calm down, right? And so Daphne's Hometree needs a peer mediation outreach center, because schizophrenic people need all the help they can to heal the trauma in their body with people. I have done my best to do what I call balancing my feather, and that's like, hey, people have done me really wrong, right? And I've done some people wrong. And I always account for what I've done wrong as best I can. And then when people make me hold too much of their weight, because there's no other way to pay it back, I screamed, right? I screamed. I said something nasty. I cut at them with words, because I use my intelligence. And that has balanced the weight. of like, wow, I'm being really put upon by some kind of evil from these people who will not help me, so I'm going to scream at them. And that's what happens is schizophrenic people get intelligence unlocked that's filtered through their trauma, and they will scream at you on the street, and they will say stuff to you that makes you so scared and worried, but also is meaningful. It's not like Tourette's where it's random. It's like, wow, they really meant that, and that makes it even meaner and scarier. And that's what's terrifying, is you are a schizophrenic person who feels something drawn up from your subconscious, and you watch it go past because you are in a mode where you're letting your subconscious take over and protect you, or it's just kind of doing that on its own. And it says something that is highly designed and specific and targeted and disgusting and mean and twisted. And you're like, wow, that hurts my heart so bad that I just said that. They're never going to forgive me. Okay. But then there's other people that just will not talk to you ever again as soon as you say the schizophrenic word, and are basically being cowards, right? And those people deserve to kind of like eat the truth, right? And if you go too far, then your feather's unbalanced, then you need to go back and to apologize to them. But if you just say something true, then they can hold it, as long as it's not about throwing accusation. And so you've got to learn to communicate better when you're a schizophrenic person. And that's what changes people from a metaphorical witch to a metaphorical wizard, is they have done the art therapy, they've pondered their orb, and all of a sudden, their schizophrenic unbecoming of lashing out has turned away from this automated response of horror into something consciously controlled and manipulated that will help them control the flow. Their subconscious is working with them so much, they're on the same team, it's all gravy. That's what Daphne's Hometree's goal would be, is to help people get the time to ponder their orb, who are schizophrenic. And I know that's kind of silly, but I'm telling you, there is a truth to mythology, hiding schizophrenic people as superhumans, as gods, as witches, as wizards, as oracles. That really needs to be heard. And I'm going to put something in a link under this, which is a write-up I had Grok make that explains from my theory, drawing on science and peer-reviewed study, the truth of how this route to healing has proof of effectiveness. And so really it's just an issue about people opening up their eyes and being like, yes, I'm going to admit this. I have seen schizophrenic people my whole life, and we don't know what to do, and we block it out, and it's really sad. And this person in front of me is clearly somebody who has been schizophrenic, if I go back and I look, who is schizophrenic, if I look at any of the content they made where they've been like letting their schizophrenia show. This is basically a mask I'm writing. And it will come down when I have people to care for me, and I'll just be a sweet, tender little blob of recovering trauma victim. But then I'll get better again. It's just that I'm not going to ever be run by my mind. It's just that I need healing rest time, and I am in a fight or flight, fight against civilization to get help, despite the way my brain won't do things. So that's what's happening to schizophrenic people, is if they don't have the right kind of help, their brain isn't breaking down in the right kind of way, you are just mainlining for the street. And so Daphne's Hometree is going to give people an opportunity to have art tools, paints, sculpting, writing tools, computers, video games. They can bring their own stuff. You can bring your Nintendo, dude. We've got a TV in that room. We're gonna give you food. We're gonna give you food to your liking. There's going to be community here that you can take part in or not. There's opportunity to speak with counselors. There's the opportunity to just take your space and garden and create your art. The only thing that is required in my mind to come to Daphne's Hometree is that you're going to do the art therapy process along with whatever else you need to do. And so even if that art therapy process is, hey, I don't really do any kind of like that kind of creation, but I do work with animals. I do work in the garden. I do like to go fish, dude. It's like, okay, we've got a lake nearby. That's cool. I like to work out. It's like, okay, that can be seen. I like to cook. Okay, that's all artistry if you treat it as such. And if you see the reflections of what's coming up when you're doing that, and then you turn it into a journal session, I'm telling you, you do it with a video journal. And you speak about your feelings, and you speak honestly, and you do your best to not be ashamed about what you truly believe, and you say it real. And there are people like me who don't need anything but the instruction to do this on their own and a little bit of oversight. I didn't need any oversight once I was on the right path, once I had this space of being unemployed and in a position where I had to rush through this while people think I'm taking advantage of unemployment, but I'm literally looking for work that doesn't exist for a schizophrenic person, and I'm working my ass off to get healed enough that I can communicate this in a way that will reach somebody. And so this is my plea. Even if these aren't completely formed ideas that are to your liking, can you please think and feel and understand that there's something real about this? There's something real about schizophrenia not being understood in the modern world, and this person, Echo Augustine, having genuine insight that is unseen, that goes beyond your modern conceptions, that actually can kind of be confirmed when you pull together and you trust that mythology has some kind of truth behind it. And also, the history of what's already out there, it's just buried by modern psychology, which has become determined to not understand this. And I don't think it is a brutal suppression. I think it is a myth-born suppression, propagated by people unknowing. And I know that this is a trip, but I will refer back to it always because I believe in this to my core. If the Library of Alexandria did not burn, if Christian Roman Empire hadn't burned the Library of Alexandria in their internal struggle in that city, the greatest repository of knowledge of human history lost, I do not believe we would be doing this to schizophrenics. I believe we would be in a much better world because I believe Hypatia was a schizophrenic, and that's why they were such a genius, is because there was a schizophrenic who was speaking from their body's intelligence. That's how I refer to it. And it's an illuminated mind that lets the body's intelligence up and in and out, and it speaks from beyond, but it needs balancing with the rational if you're someone like me who just has creativity. I'm basically an oracle in terms of my purely creative mindset, and my ability to be a functional, romantic, sexual human being. And in this world, I am seen as a disabled person, not to touch in any kind of way, even as a friend, because I'm too scary. But I'm sitting here being somebody who knows that people like me have wisdom inside them to share. And so at Daphne's Hometree, not only do we provide the equipment to become someone who does these kind of video journals and learns from themselves and creates art, but we have an outreach program to help you get placed once you're out of the system, and you get put back into the world in a place where you might actually have community, where you have the groundwork to get connected with community. And it's about building out education from the inside out to teach people better how to respond to seeing schizophrenics, to build bridges with modern psychology, which is going to go on doing what it's doing, but be like, hey, let's start listening to what's going on here because we're seeing real results. We need to believe again. And there's something here, and I need somebody to be brave and strong and stand with me, because this is the most valuable thing we could do for the future of the world. And I'm going to say it one last time this way. If schizophrenic people like me heal, and then they start speaking from their body's intelligence, every single one of them is going to be saying different stuff, and it's going to be about the things that they learned from their lifetime of trauma that are done wrong. And those things that the schizophrenic sees, because they're an illuminated mind that sees themselves and feels their body's intelligence and starts to understand what's going on inside their body better than your average person, because they have to not be delusional, because that's what you need to do to make your subconscious be on your same team. They have much to teach to all, which can help other people reach the same state of body healing and flowing subconscious intelligence, which many people have that are artists and don't even know it. without schizophrenia at all. And so we can change the world for everybody by helping schizophrenics be teachers again once they're healed, if they know the right way to it. So thank you for listening.